Hi there, and welcome to the next edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast, which is brought to you by fans for fans, and where the content is free. As an extra bonus pod we have for you, we're going to be previewing tomorrow's game against Hearts and having a wee look at the Lyon game on Thursday night. It has taken a lot of effort to get this show out, thanks to my sort of coal-fired laptop failing several times last night and struggling to get it going this morning as well. So we've got here eventually, I've got Eck, who has manfully put up with my shenanigans over the last 12 hours. So how are you, Eck?
Not bad, mate, not bad at all. You're the last person you want to be involved with when things go wrong, technically, is myself. Hits it harder, Colin. Get a smack. You know what I mean? That's about the extent of my... I tell you, mate, it's like that Lyon away kick the other night. Technology, it's just unnatural. I don't care how many folks' lives it saves in the hospitals and things like that. We need to go back to, paper, letter set, staple stuff together, and just send out a wee fanzine. That would do it.
Yeah, I mean, I have been taking the piss with this podcast, to be honest with you. I mean, it is pretty old, if I'm being honest with you. And I've had a couple of issues with it in the past. I think last night and this morning is probably the push that I need to actually
get a new laptop.
Stop being a miserable bastard, essentially, and get a new one, you know. But there is a kind of bonus, because it's like, as we were saying before we came on here, it's like we're Des Lynam, you know what I mean? And
yes,
Bob Wilson back in the day presenting Grandstand. It's an unusual time for us to be on here.
I was saying to you, Bagsy, I'm no Mark Lawrenson.
Yeah, I understand why with that story.
I'm about 20 stone too big to be Mark Lawrenson, but I'll go Alex Scott. I'm quite good at I think got the first name, and that's where the comparisons end. You know.
Yeah.
No, just apologies to everybody that was waiting for us last night. But the one thing I would say is if it was bad for them, the show no coming on, how do you think we feel? We don't do this for the money. We just do this because we need to talk about Rangers. So my missus had to sit. Everyone I had prepared for the show last night, my missus had to listen to that until midnight. So it was bad for us as it was for you guys.
Well, excuse me. My missus had to listen to me moan at her about her laptop, because it's technically her laptop. So, it's not the best, but I mean, we're on here now, so we can get through the stuff that we need to get through and get some content out there for the guys. So, I thought first of all, we would look at the Lyon game on Thursday night. I mean, technically a bit of a dead rubber. You know what I mean? Both teams had already qualified with a game to spare. So it allowed, a few changes and all the rest of it. I would say, I mean, even though it was a bit of a dead rubber, I quite enjoyed it being a dead rubber, because I quite enjoyed watching the Rangers game, being a wee bit relaxed for a change, not having to worry too much, because it has been quite a stressful season so far, the way we've been playing. So yeah, I quite enjoyed it, and I thought actually, decent performance and a good result.
That's it, and I think the only real worry, Colin, the other night was if we go, as I was saying in Sunday night's pod, I hoped that we actually went with quite a strong team, because there was always a chance that Lyon, who are having a bit of a terrible domestic season, and they messed up again on Sunday night. If they had a point to prove, if the manager was wanting a bit of a performance and we weren't quite at it, we could get a bit of a leathering, which could really dent, could dent the confidence we're garnering under Gio. But I think within about the first 10 minutes, it became pretty clear that it was one of those kind of standoffish chess matches where both teams have just shown enough to say, if we want to go for this, if you want to give us a game, we can match you and include us in that. We were as good as them, I think. Yeah. And after that, it was like, right, okay, we'll just kind of. And I'm actually disappointed in that, because I want to be sitting here going, we got a draw in Lyon the other night. What a fantastic result. Albeit that is the first time, and if you want to include friendlies and against other clubs in that city, that's the first time we've been to Lyon and conceded a goal and failed to win. We've got an incredible record there. Yeah. After we scored the first goal, there'd be a few more chances. I think the 15 minutes up until half time, we looked as if we could have scored another couple. We're doing really well. And you're a wee moment of thinking perhaps we're going to get another, reversal of the home result, which always happens against Lyon. Yeah. But not to be. But no, I thought it was really enjoyable. And as you say, to be relaxed during the Rangers game, it's great. I mean,
especially what's to come tomorrow, because tomorrow's very stressful.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So hopefully it'll work for the players as well. They'll feel the same way. It was a wee bit of a holiday for them,
I think it was quite good as well, because I think after the Hibs game, Gio sort of came in, the way that semi-final went, and the fact that we were 3 down after half an hour, and wasn't the best performance. It's maybe given Van Bronckhorst a wee bit of a false insight to where the club was and how good a squad he had, because I think he's been really cautious since he came in, and not really mixed his squad up too much. So it was good to see a few changes to the side. McLaughlin came in, Lundstrom came in, Patterson came in, Wright, Roof, all coming into the side, getting minutes in the legs, and I think that's the first opportunity he's really had to be able to do that, because I think he's been so focused on, I just need to get the points at the moment, so I'm going to stick with the guys that I know are going to do a job for me.
And I think if anybody had said to you at the beginning of Gio's tenure that his game for trying out the reserve players would be away to Lyon in a European tournament, you'd be thinking, that's how the Dutch can be really cocky, but that's what happens. That's what happened the other night. You saw Lundstrom being kind of babysat by Glenn Kamara in the first half, and then having Steve Davis holding his hand second half, getting him a full 90. Scott Wright gets a good hour, gets a goal in a way that we've been scoring a lot of goals recently. It was very like Joe Aribo's goal against Dundee. The kind of deflection. And you think about Alfie's goal against his second goal against Sparta Prague, the defender kind of laying it on a plate for him, and even my second goal against Dundee last week. So I know G, but we're doing a lot of that where we've kind of, I'll just see it as we're confusing teams over.
That's how I see it. We're putting a bit of panic into defences. Yeah.
And it was lovely. And I think the Ryan Kent thing, that was it's quite weird. He doesn't play at all against Dundee. Then he plays the whole game against Lyon.
Yeah.
Gets another £10 million on his transfer fee, I would imagine. I mean, even the director of the kind of French outside broadcast unit, when he was doing his wee very continental montages during the game, of all the nice touches. Ryan Kent, I mean, his story looks absolutely sensational now. Yeah. And then you've got Sakala and Morelos not turning up at all, not being there at all. Minutes for McLaughlin. It was neither a totally weakened side nor our strongest side. And I think a lot of it with Gio just now, it's as if he's said to like Davy McCallum or whoever, Brian Gilmer when he's arrived, what is the first 11 here? And he's put out the first 11 as far as he can in his first few games to kind of bed the system in, to get, so they'll know what he wants to do, and it can kind of trickle down to the reserve team players. And that's like, we don't really have reserve team players as such. Yeah. Patterson as well. I mean, he's scoring for Scotland, in World Cup qualifiers and things like that. So he's a good game the other night as well. So it's letting the rest of the squad know how we play. And I would a couple of the first 5 minutes we couldn't get out our box. We couldn't get out our half. There was a lot of kind of passing about between the centre halves and acres of space for both sides. It was that's when you knew it was a kind of like a dead rubber. But we got a couple of free kicks in the first kind of 7 minutes, 8 minutes, and then Lyon come back up the park and had their wee, first kind of chance with Dembele, which never really came to anything. And that was it. It was kind of like, right, we could do this to you, you could do this to us. Let's just have a standoff, The only thing that was bothering me, I thought we were really great at tracking runners. I thought that was something with the likes of Shaqiri and Cherki, and these guys are really intricate, lovely first touch stuff, really deft on the ground. And I think when we looked as if we were really able to live with that kind of level of club. I mean, Lyon were in the Champions League semi-final it was like 16 months ago or something.
Yeah.
So we could really live with them in that high technical aspect, of a kind of Champions League club type football. But it ends up that's what cost us, was not really properly tracking a runner. That's what cost us for the goal. But it was the high balls into the box. That was something we still seen. We couldn't mark up at set pieces, big, huge centre half, so you can't miss coming into the box. We weren't marking them properly. We got away with that a few times. Steve Davis cleared them on off the line. And also the two best chances for were pal Dembele were just the old balls across the top. I mean, world-class balls across the top for Shaqiri, but there was still, it's that a wee hint of that wee problem we've been having this season. But no, generally, I thought we were great, Colin. It was a lovely night.
I mean, we were up. I thought we were a wee bit slack for the equaliser as well. I thought Borna was a wee bit slack at that one, and I also think Bassey maybe could have reacted a wee bit better. But
yes,
it was that kind of performance, because I thought for long periods we managed the game well. But also, as you pointed out, at corner, every time they got a corner kick, and they went through a wee stage of getting a corner kick every 2-3 minutes, you know, and every time the ball came into the box, you were panicking. So definitely stuff there that we need to improve on.
Well, I think that maybe we'll just say that's because everybody was kind of relaxed because it was a dead rubber. But well, maybe easier to say that if it had been something we'd been doing all season. It's to pick these guys up, but even right down to another thing that, you know, is a typical spoiled Rangers fan, where I'm wanting everything to be perfect, is the amount of times I've always been talking in this show about how we've been scaring ourselves. When we've got a narrow lead or we're holding on to a good point, as we were the other night, we seem to, it doesn't matter how much injury time, how deep we are into injury time, we always allow one more chance. And I think it was like 3 minutes injury time went up. You knew the ref was going to blow on exactly 3 minutes because it was one of those kind of games. 2 minutes, 32 seconds into injury time, we get the free kick, I think. Or we've definitely got the ball in their half. And, you know, your man Joe Aribo is through on goal, almost scores. Then Ryan Kent somehow picks up the clearance and he runs across the pitch over the other wing, beating about 4 guys. And you're thinking, right, that's that definitely done. We could have won it, but we're getting the draw. And then next thing, they're through on goal. Do you know? They're through on goal again. But it was the clock hit 3 minutes exactly of injury time as the guy had his shot, which he duffed.
That would have been a sore one to lose at that point.
It would have been, mate. It would have been. Yeah. But that was one of the moments when you thought, yeah, we've done great here, but also let's not kid ourselves on that we should have been taking all 3 points. But we've stopped. You know, Lyon got 100% record. They had something to play for the other night, and we've stopped them in their tracks to a certain extent. And I know Gio's got a relationship with Peter Bosch, his fellow Dutch manager at Lyon, but for us it was just nice to stop him having a 100% record against Rangers after his stint at Leverkusen as well. So, you know, it was just a nice night all round, mate. And I think you look at how we ended that game. Joe Aribo up front. I thought Bacuna come on and did a smashing wee cameo. I think he played in 2 different positions in the kind of 20 minutes, half hour he was on. He was getting fouled left, right, and centre because he had to be. You know, he was causing them a lot of problems. But I thought, all in all, when you see the players we had in the park and the players we ended up with on the park and the positions they were in, it was a smashing result, a smashing new performance.
And on to we failed to qualify for the Conference League, which is obviously devastating. Big congratulations! Big congratulations to Celtic across the road. They got 9 points and they earned that right to get into that conference.
Can you argue with that, mate?
Can he?
No, absolutely not. Taking the stats.
So into the sort of playoff. You know, some of the teams that are in there, obviously the 2 that stand out. I wanted Milan. I was watching the Liverpool-Milan game. So I'm wanting Liverpool to win, obviously, because that put Milan into 3rd. But the other game went such a way that it pumped them out of Europe altogether, because Milan are one of the big clubs, one of the few big clubs in Europe that I haven't seen. So I was desperate for them to be in the draw, so we would maybe get them. They weren't there, but the big 2 are obviously Dortmund and Barca. I mean, for Gio, if it was to get Barca, I mean, that'd be a huge draw for him.
It's quite weird, isn't it, that we've been the last 3 years and a bit we've been talking about, will Stevie G, you know, might get to play against Liverpool in Europe or something for when Stevie G's our manager. That'd be amazing. And then, you know, within 2 minutes of Gio arriving, he might be going back to Barcelona.
You know,
although of course for Gio's equivalent of Stevie G's Liverpool is Feyenoord, who we've already dealt with in Europe quite recently. I've been the same as yourself. I wanted Milan. If I had to take a team that already, Ross usually does this to me, but I have been to the Milan derby at the old San Siro back in the day. But that's sorry, you know.
That's fine. It's fine. Just rub it in.
But you've been to Camelin so many times. I've never been to Camelin.
I know. It evens out, mate. You were at the Rangers on the Milan game in '84 as well, weren't you?
And yes.
See, that's another game I wanted to be at that I wasn't at. But there we go. But I have seen Inter Milan. I've just not seen AC.
I'm like yourself. It's a kind of sliding scale of between you want a glamour game. If you're going to go out, let's get the biggest game possible. Let's at least a glamour night versus teams you've personally seen before. We've all got our own wee lists that we want to tick off. And then there's also, are we going to get through? Who have we got a chance of getting through against? And this is the thing, the strange thing about this new aspect of the way UEFA have kind of streamlined the 3 and in line with inventing this 3rd competition to try and stave off the kind of Super League stuff. We end up with a playoff round, you know, for second place teams. in the middle of the tournament in February, which is actually harder, I think, than if we just, if we'd go any of the other group winners. There's I think Olympiacos and maybe Eintracht Frankfurt are decent, obviously, but it's quite a list of teams, and you're looking at Sheriff Tiraspol because we don't know them. Nobody really knows anything about Sheriff except they are gangsters from a part of the world, Transnistria, that doesn't even want to be part of Moldova. But they've also beaten Real Madrid in the Bernabeu in the Champions League this season. So there's no easy draw. Atalanta, I've got a real soft spot for Atalanta. So although it'll be I've seen Atalanta, and if I tell you what, see if we draw them in one day, I will tell the listeners. I've got a very personal story about why I have a soft spot for Atalanta. I'll divulge that only if we actually get them. And I'm trying to say to people, don't say anything nasty to Atalanta because I love them.
You can tell me off air. You can tell me her name off air.
I will do. It's very embarrassing. Like most of my stories. But no, I've seen everybody there except Sheriff Tiraspol and RB Leipzig, another Champions League semi-finalist from that in the delayed kind of COVID tournament in 2020. So it's Barca for me. We've seen Barcelona before. I went over the new camp in 2007, 2008. But I would just. I feel as if, having watched them the other night, the kind of state they're in just now, I think they might actually have an outside chance as well.
Yeah, I would see it as an opportunity. I really do.
That's it. And Barcelona is one of the clubs I don't think you can really see often enough. It's like Real Madrid or Benfica. The list ticking goes out the window. It's just one of the clubs that's always going to be, a big one. But like a Porto, even Zenit, who we also saw in Manchester, saw them in Ibrox friendly as well. Seville, saw them in a UEFA Cup final at Hampden and, then at Ibrox in the Champions League. They're all really, 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 really difficult teams. But so you're looking to get something out of it, and I think it would be Barca for me.
Yeah, we'll find out Monday. The draw's Monday, so we'll find out then. But yeah, I'm with you. Dortmund or Barca for me. I think I'm definitely of the. I think this is led largely by the fact that we were out of Europe for so long. When we were coming back through so it feels like we've missed out on a lot of potential big ties. So I just want the names. I just want to get names now. You know what I mean? It'll all settle down, and then I'll probably go back into the mode of get teams that we can get through, and then get bigger names towards the end, kind of thing. But
and also lockdown as well, mate.
Yeah, I know. I just want names.
We missed out on Benfica, Ibrox, even Standard Liège and Royal Antwerp. These are great games. These are great nights. And for us not to be there, Galatasaray, in the qualifiers and stuff like that. These were great nights. So the fans, all across the world, fans have been denied their football because of COVID. But to have Barcelona and Ibrox would just be a massive celebration of us all being back.
Yeah. If indeed we're allowed in at that point, the way things are going.
Yes, this is true. We celebrate.
we're getting ahead of ourselves
by being on another lockdown.
Yeah, I know. Right, on to tomorrow's game. It's. I mean, I don't think there's any denying that it's arguably the biggest game of the season so far. Hearts. I mean, in terms of their form at the moment, a bit patchy, but I mean they've had a really strong start to the season. I think they're undefeated at home. So. Yeah, I think tomorrow's big, and I think it's going to be a nervy one.
It's one of those ones, Colin. It's like your old Western movies, your old kind of war films. Those of the bit where the good guys would go walking into the town or the village, and the guy would say it's quiet, it's off quiet. It's too quiet, and it feels like this could be an ambush. It shouldn't. To Gio's start, which has been fantastic. It shouldn't be. We should know everything we need to know about Hearts and about Tynecastle. Giovanni van Bronckhorst, his first league game as a player for Rangers, they lost at Tynecastle. So he knows what he's getting into. That whole squad we've got knows what we're getting into. Because most of them, well, a good half of them were there 2 seasons ago when they, did us twice in the cup and in the league, and then also took a draw with us as well. 3 times we went to Tynecastle in the season that Hearts went down. Albeit through kind of boardroom negotiations, but 3 times we went there that season, a really poor Hearts team, and they dealt with us every time, really. So I'm quite happy this time though. When you think about that, Hearts were struggling then, as I've said a few times in the pod, mate. I have this thing. I like teams that we're playing to be on a bit of form, and they are just now. They really solidified third place in both respects. Last week Celtic winning at Tannadice meant Celtic are getting away from Hearts comfortably in second, and Dundee United were put down comfortably into fourth. So you've got to say that's got to be Hearts' kind of ambition just now. Robbie Nielsen, this is the second time he's done this thing where he's had a kind of running start at the job from winning the championship, cruising the championship, and then taking that form into the top flight and showing what you can be done in Scotland. Really, the championship, if you've got the squad, you've got the money, it's not that different from the top flight up until Rangers and Celtic.
Yeah.
And I think they're in great form, mate. They've got some cracking players in there, but you're right. There's a feeling about this. There's a feeling like I keep talking about this new manager bounce. Even Scotty Arfield was talking about it at the press conference yesterday. Constantly waiting for the game where Gio kind of things get real. Now there's no need for that to happen. He's a bloody good manager, obviously. We're a really good team who are used to winning and winning in style now. The way we won last season's title. So there's no reason we can't just keep winning. But you just feel as if there's going to be a game where it gets a bit real. I was hoping that's what kind of happened at Easter Road, where maybe we're two sitting midfielders struggle with their four across the middle, but and we got through it. But this is the game. I think we're all kind of thinking if things are going to go wrong, this is the place that it will go wrong.
Did we get a wee hint on Thursday night as to how Gio was maybe going to set up? Because I was sort of looking at the formation, and it seemed to me, I always find it harder watching it on the TV trying to work out the formation, but out of possession, I pointed this out to my son on more than one occasion. It looked like 4-4-2. It looked like Ryan Kent was pulling out really wide, dropping back and pulling wide, and it definitely looked like two banks of four and a two. So and I think Lundstrom getting a game on Thursday as well. I wondered if that's maybe a wee hint that he's maybe going to go with the two holding sitting midfielders tomorrow. So was there a wee hint on Thursday as to how we're going to go? Because I think we've seen already that, and we had, as I said, we had the guy on from the Feyenoord blog, and the first thing he said was, Gio likes an L. He's that's what he focuses on. Make sure nothing's going in at the back and build on that. And I've certainly got a sense of that in the first few games under Gio. That I'm not saying that he's overly cautious, but he's certainly more pragmatic. You know what I mean? I think it's substance first before style, if you know what I mean, which is a wee bit un-Dutch, if you know what I mean. Because they like to put on a bit of a show sometimes, the Dutch. But I just wonder tomorrow if he's going to go with the two holders, so almost like a 4-2-3-1 in possession, and then maybe drop into a 4-4-2 out of it.
I know exactly what you mean about watching it on television. You can't see the whole park. It's so much harder to decide. Although having said that, I'm at my seat at Ibrox because I'm down at the kind of extreme down towards the Copeland. I'm in the main stand, but I'm down to right towards. I'm in line with the Copeland 6-yard line. That sometimes makes it harder to see. First half, when we're usually shooting towards the Broomloan, what exactly is happening up front, and that's always where it's going to varied. If it's going to be varied, and I like it. I like it when I can't work out what we're doing up front, because sometimes we're so intricate and we're so kind of explosive and moving everywhere. It's like a kind of whirl. And it's like the old Schalke 04 team in the 30s, the creasel, the spinning top kind of thing, where you just don't know who's where.
Yeah.
And I really like that. And that's how we played against Hearts. We played them at Ibrox this season. The first half we were tremendous, and then we just went backward the second half. I think you're right what you're saying. Gio might like it the other way about. Start off solid, maybe a bit, kind of stolid even. Yeah. And then you push on once you've got the game, the kind of physical and the tactical battle, kind of won. Then you go for it. But
you go for it.
I don't know, mate. It looked like a 4-2-3-1 to me on Thursday. But there was definitely a lot of shifting about going on up front, like they're saying. And we tried having Hadji as the kind of middleman of that three. And it didn't seem to work. It didn't seem to work. But he didn't have a good game the other night. He didn't have a good game, but at the same time, I think it maybe showed by default why he sticks him out on the wing. It's not because I think a lot of people look at Hadji and they think, well, he's obviously slow. He's not a winger. But what he's doing there is he's giving Hadji a start. He's got the byline behind him, so he doesn't have to worry about who's behind him when he's on the wing, and he's got the play in front of him. If he's just looking to go across to go across the way, and that lets him get a little start, and he can get his little slalom and his little kind of dribbles going. I think he's been doing well. I think he's been doing quietly really well for us, Hadji, under Gio.
I think he's a player that I think Gio rates him.
Exactly.
I sent my sort of predicted 11 to my mate the other day, and Hadji was in it. I went 4-2-3-1. I had Lundstrom in there. I think maybe Lundstrom's going to start the game tomorrow, and Davis will come on in the second half. And I had the three as Aribo, Hadji, and Kent and Morelos up front. And my mate's like, I'm not sure about Hadji. I think Arfield will come in there. And I was like, I think Gio rates. I think he rates him quite highly. And I just wonder if he'll go with Lundstrom and Hadji, because I think every other position pretty much picks itself. I think those are the only maybe two question marks when I was sitting looking at it the other night. I just wonder if he'll put them in initially, and then if we get the lead, and the game's going our way, that's when you bring on Davis and the Arfield. You bring on the experience to manage the game and to get us through it.
Well, you see, when Hadji played the full 95 at Easter Road, it was a really physical game. That's when I thought to myself, he's getting treated different under Gio. Yeah. And he did a lot of defensive work that night as well. Giannis, he was great. He's a player I love anyway, But and did you notice when he came off the other night? He didn't have a good game, so he comes off. Was it the hour 70 minutes? And he's got a bit of a downer, and Gio got a hold of him straight away, and he's having a laugh for him. And by the time he actually sat down, Giannis, he's laughing away and all that. He's a great man in management. But I mean, did you see Gio? He's sitting with Dave Voss at one point, and the two of them were.
Love that name.
Well, he actually looks like a kind of guy for like ABC or Heaven 17 or something. He's got that kind of look about him, Well, Gio was looking very style council. He's followed it, Paul Weller at his peak mod style council with the jacket and the gloves and the scarf and that. But the two of them were getting right in about it. They were clearly loving it. I think Gio comes across quite monotone at times, probably because of the language thing. He's speaking a second language at press conferences. But you could see the intensity the other night. I thought that French director, that TV crew, they were really picking out stuff like that. So he'll be thinking about it big time. But I don't know. I would like to see Arfield starting. I would like to see us kind of going for it. I don't think we can be too defensive going to Tynecastle. I think we've got to kind of take it to them a bit as well. If you let them come on to us, I know that's not how it works. It's not that straightforward. But I think we should kind of go for it. But Lundstrom, I don't know what's happening there. The big man again. I mean, he doesn't lack for confidence. We thought he was a bit kind of Billy Big Boss. Or I did anyway, but I think he pre-match, they showed an interview with him pre-match the other night, and he's a nice guy, and he's really nice, but he wasn't complaining in any way about not getting a regular game. He was praising the guys in his place and saying it was down to him to get into the side. And like the other night, again, he's very pointy. He's one of the guys, if you want somebody to be, go either way, mood-wise, you want somebody to be overconfident, and he is very confident. He's not lacking in that. But he was very pointy, but he had a few moments where he kind of let things go, and big Connor Golson's eyeballing him after one of the corners that he didn't pick up his man. But then I think right the last minute, that chance that I was talking about, Lyon missed with the very last kick of the ball 3 minutes into injury time. He did some running, Lundstrom, after playing his first full game in ages, to kind of get behind the guy and hassle him and kind of put him off his shot. So he's getting there, and I think Steve Davis is taking a bit of a lull just now, and I think you could be right there. He could be Lundstrom's going to get promoted, and he's maybe going to end up being, or Gio's looking at him as a possible first pick alongside Glenn Kamara. Just as long as we've got Glenn Kamara in that park, Colin. Yeah. He's the putty, he's the glue, he just hods it all together, especially he's been magical this season, really underrated as he always is. But it's a really tough challenge. Cracking players' hearts. Craig Gordon's the one guy who rivals Alan McGregor for the last-ditch saves. They've went to Parkhead and lost unjustly, as Celtic fans would put it, if it was all the way around. And they're one of the teams, they've beat Celtic at Tynecastle. This is a place that Celtic have lost. Last week, Celtic went to Tannadice, the only place we've lost, the only place we've dropped points away from home this season, and they won. So we've now got a chance to go somewhere that Celtic have dropped points away from home and get that back.
In terms of the squad, Alex, Gio gave a wee update in his presser yesterday. Kamer Roof, a doubt again, which is a wee bit frustrating, but no other fresh injuries. But the fact that Ryan Jack was omitted for the squad completely on Thursday night, I certainly felt that was an opportunity for him to get minutes in the legs. I think someone said to me on Twitter that Gio had actually said that he would feature, and he would feature quite heavily. And then to not even make the squad, and now, it's been confirmed that he's suffered a setback. We are in a real worrying territory now when it comes to Ryan Jack, because, towards, when he was having his issues last season, when it was always, was it 7 to 10 days, he'll be back in a couple of weeks, and it just kept going and it kept going, and then eventually we're told that he needs to go for surgery and he'll be back for next season. We're now approaching now approaching the new year, and there's still really no sign of him. Obviously, he came on last week against Dundee for the last sort of, 20 minutes or whatever it was. Done okay. But to have that level of football and then to have another setback, it's starting to become a concern for me.
And I think the first thing to say here, Colin, is how much we feel for Ryan Jack, because it must be absolute murder. Yeah. This is a guy's livelihood. It's what he's born to do. He's a fantastic footballer, which is why we're all gutted, Maybe you're just looking at it from the outside, and it just keeps happening. Listen, we're playing Hearts tomorrow. They've got a big boy at the back. John Suter scored against Denmark for Scotland, really vital goal. He's made a fantastic comeback from really terrible injuries.
Yeah.
But even then, as a support, we've all been here before. For Daniel Prodan right through to Kamar Roof, have you got an injury? No, well, come along to Ibrox, we'll get you one.
We'll find you one.
It's kind of. I feel a heart sorry for Rangers. And I'm looking at Suter. There's a possible signing for Rangers if Connor Goldson leaves, and you're thinking the first thing I thought is prone to injuries.
Yeah.
And I hate to be thinking that way about Ryan Jack now, because how well would Ryan Jack, a footballer of his intelligence and skill, fit into a Giovanni Van Bronckhorst setup? Yeah. The Dutch ethos loves a guy like Ryan Jack as much as we do. He's had an injury. He's come back to training. He was supposed to be going there. He was supposed to be going to Lyon the other night, and then he's in training. He's got himself another wee injury. But I didn't find out. I don't think it was answered yesterday at the presser if it was a recurrence of the same injury.
No, they didn't confirm that at all. No.
Aye.
So that and that ambiguity makes you worry. You know what I mean? I always find when they start being a bit, not giving you straight answers.
Yes.
You start to think, okay, there's an issue here. You know what I mean? I started to feel there was an issue last season when at every press conference, the time scale was always the same. It was 7 to 10 days, 2 weeks. He's only a couple of weeks away. And then like 3 months in, you're like, well, wait a minute. He told us 3 months ago he was 2 weeks away. What's going on here? So yeah, I'm starting to fear for the boy. I must admit.
Give him all the time he needs. Just give him all the time he needs, because like what he done for even before Steven Gerrard arrived. I mean, staunch is an understatement. Love Ryan Jack to bits, and we owe him a lot, I think. As a player, so he can take as much time as he needs to get back. And I was always encouraged one of the few times when he come back from a long-term injury. I mean, he hit the ground running. He's scoring goals and he's looking fantastic. And at first, when Gio came in and seemed to kind of put him aside for the first few games after Gerrard was bringing him back, I felt it's just a Dutch kind of more clinical look at things. I've thought, no, you're not fit enough yet. We're just going to give you a bit more time to get yourself up to match fitness. But no, it seems like he's actually having recurrences of problems or new problems. But we need him back, mate. But we don't. I think we're getting to the stage. Maybe in January we maybe have to go and look for somebody else. But I don't know that we don't need him just now. But he's a player that you would always want to have, and I just hope he gets better quickly.
Yeah. Excuse me. Oh, my tea's coming back at me there. How very unprofessional.
I'm not used to this brunch time start, mate.
That's what it is, aye. It's this brunch nonsense.
I've got the full Scottish coming up
here. I was talking about Hearts form earlier on. I was having a look at them in the form table. They're fifth. Of their last six, they've won 3, they've lost 3. So very, very black or white. No sort of grey areas at the moment. Robbie Nielsen saying in the presser yesterday that he really feels and believes that Hearts can win this. So there's certainly confidence at Hearts, and quite rightly so, because it's been a while since we went there and won. But after this game tomorrow, we've got home games coming up against St Johnstone, Dundee United, St Mirren. So a good run of fixtures after tomorrow, before we then go to Pittodrie and Celtic Park. So it feels like, if we get over tomorrow, it gives us a good run at these 2 tricky games at the end of the year and the beginning of next year. So really vital that I don't even think it's about just the result tomorrow. Obviously you want to win, and you win by hook or by crook if you have to, but I think a statement in terms of the performance would be good tomorrow.
Oh aye, yes. That's what I'm saying. We're saying this could be the moment where Gio trips up, the new manager bounce officially stops, but conversely this could be the moment where we explode, where we properly, where it's just like everything. Gio was just getting warmed up. He's just getting his kind of cards sorted out, and now we're dealing with a full day. We're just going to go out there and blow them away, and that would be a massive statement, because this is now officially the second hardest fixture we can play in the league, and to win would be absolutely huge. I've made the mistake of looking through December into January, just kind of putting like 1st of December through to 2nd January. We start at Easter Road. We end up at Parkhead, and we've got Tynecastle and Pittodrie. I've only been looking at that, kind of ignoring the home fixtures, which, let's be honest, we've dropped twice as many points at home this season as we have. We've only dropped points in one game. Our away record is absolutely amazing.
And it's important that we point that out. You know what I mean? Our away record is very good this season.
No, the form hasn't always been great. We've had a few kind of ones we've had to dig out, you know, but the actual, it's fantastic. And it's kind of like a converse. Last season, you know, we go unbeaten, but we'd actually dropped 4 points. We'd drawn at Livingston, we'd drawn at Easter Road by this point. And then we've only dropped 3 points away from home this season because it was a defeat at Tannadice that got more attention. But we've actually kind of, when you look at it, was when we lost that League Cup game to St Mirren. That was end of November, beginning December, and then we went on that run. We had the game against Motherwell in the league the following game, where a goal down, and then we score 3 goals in the last 20 odd minutes, and then we go on that amazing run through December into January. And it wouldn't surprise me if this is what I was expecting, even if Gerrard had stayed, that we'd do the same. And we've actually got it down to we lost that terrible League Cup game to Hibs, you know, and that's since then we've kicked on, you know, and I'm just hoping we continue it right through. But if we could, I would like us to win tomorrow for obvious. I always want Rangers to win. But if we're then looking at Pittodrie and Parkhead, where we're already got 6 points from the 2 other hard away games under our belt, it takes a bit of mental pressure. You don't want to go to Pittodrie or Parkhead feeling you've got to make up for a slip that you had earlier, you know. And it's only because of the points we've dropped at home, and that Celtic have now, we have to be honest, they've come on to a bit of form. They're starting to beat teams they should beat. That we're in this situation where, you know, we're going for, you know, what's this? There'll be 6 league wins in the trot, but we're still kind of needing to win that game, you know. So it seems a bit unfair to be looking for us to have to win this game. We don't have to win it. A draw wouldn't be the end of the world, but I think psychologically, in such a busy schedule, to have that under the belt, we've been Easter Road, we've been to Tynecastle, and we haven't dropped a single point. It'd be fantastic going forward.
Yeah, I do. I think. I mean, given. You know, Celtic play tomorrow after us, don't they? Who's it they've got tomorrow?
Motherwell at home, maybe.
Yeah, so they'll squish it, the usual. So, yeah, I think in terms of getting the points as well, you know what I mean, and maintaining that 4 point gap and putting a bit of pressure on them as well, because, you know, when you extend the lead, it does put that wee bit of pressure. So, yeah, I do think we need to get a result tomorrow. But more than a result, I would love to see a really strong performance, because, you know, we got the win at Easter Road, but it was a wee bit ramshackled. It wasn't the best game. It was a horrible game of football at times. You know what I mean? Both teams were really poor on the night. I think if we went there and won tomorrow and won well, that would put out a really, really big statement.
Well, the last time we went to Tynecastle, it was after a good European away result, and Alfredo Morelos, which Alfredo Morelos didn't travel to, you know, and it was a flipping nightmare. You know, we come back from Braga, and Alfie he'd gone to Colombia. I'm sure he hasn't gone to Colombia this time. And he was late coming back, so Stevie G dropped him for the trip to Tynecastle, and we were murder on the Saturday night in the Scottish Cup. I think this is going to be very different. I think you know, Alfie's been rested, Sakala's been rested as well. And the thing for me, the thing that worries me, just when you're overthinking it as a fan on the outside, is we seem to play better when we do that one-man pivot, that one holding midfielder, which has been Glenn Kamara under Gio's system. I know he holds one of the wing backs back, you know, as a kind of compensation. But I don't think we can go to Tynecastle and just have one sitting. I think he's going to go with the 2 sitting. And I don't think we've been at our best with that system. That's the only thing, you know. But it's improving all the time. And that performance the other night in Lyon has given a lot of fringe players a lot of confidence. It certainly gave me a lot of confidence in the depth of our squad, Colin. We looked really good the other night. A lot of these so-called fringe players were really good. And the other thing for me is, I think I keep harping back to this wee chance that Nathan Patterson gave away 3 minutes into injury time, probably because it nearly gave me a heart attack. But I think that was testament to the fact they've been told, don't punt it. It's possession all the time. You know, we're a lovely possession team. We want to keep the ball at all costs. Takes me back to, you know, the stories about Dick Advocaat, you know, basically telling Colin Hendry, if you ever launch it again, you will never play for this football club while I'm manager. And I think Gio obviously is he's captain to the little general, so he knows he's Dutch. They want to keep a hold of the ball. And I think we could be dazzling, you know, if we keep building under Gio. And I just think tomorrow's one of the games where we find out, you know, is this project really working the way we think it is, or was it just new manager bounce? And it wouldn't surprise me if we slipped up, but like it wouldn't surprise me if we had a lovely day tomorrow as well, mate.
Well, hopefully it's the latter, Rick. Hopefully it's
Yes.
the latter. Hopefully, yeah. And we'll have a show on tomorrow night. Obviously, we'll go on tomorrow night to sort of review everything that's been on at Tynecastle. I'm hosting. I think John McCallum and David Fraser are on, so join us for that tomorrow night. A big thanks to Eck for his contributions and for hanging on, because he's been hanging on since.
I've got nothing else to do, mate. You know I've got nothing else.
Since 9 o'clock last night. So fair play to him for putting up with my rank amateur efforts at getting my tea to work. Guys, as always, we were live tonight, or live this afternoon even, but the pod will be available to download and stream on a variety of platforms as usual, including Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, Spotify, all that. Until tomorrow night, get yourself onto the Gersnet website and forums at www.gersnet.co.uk. Guys, hope we get a good result tomorrow.